Have you ever just frozen at the checkout because you were short by like 1 cup of coffee? Your card can get declined because you are missing $4, and it feels like the entire store just heard your account balance. I remember this so clearly, one Tuesday night at Target. Emily's cart was full of totally normal family stuff: milk, eggs, chicken nuggets for Liam, plus a pack of diapers because we were completely out at home. The screen showed $41.86. Emily swiped her card, it beeped, and then it said, declined. She had $37 left until payday. Oh gosh, her stomach dropped and her face got hot. Theo texted, "Are you done yet?" Emily was trying to keep Liam from grabbing candy, and she is standing there doing that awkward little smile like, oh, the machine is probably just glitching. But in her head, there is only one thought. I am losing because of $4.86. And then comes the next step, and it is honestly so annoying because it is always the same. I have to put something back, and it is usually the thing that would save you money long term, like toilet paper. If you can afford the big pack, it works out to about 50 cents per roll. But if you have exactly $4 in your wallet, you grab a small pack at a convenience store, around $1.50 per roll. Same roll of toilet paper, triple the price. And what blows my mind is people still call that poor money management. It does not stop there. One time I was short exactly $5 because I forgot about an automatic charge. From what I understand, a lot of banks will hit you with an overdraft fee of around $35. So basically, you borrow $5 for a few hours and get punished with $35. And it is wild to me. When that happens to you, people say, that is on you. But when a system pulls money from millions of people like you, they call it a service fee. It creates this brutal little loop. You do not have a cushion, so you buy smaller packs and pay more. Then one tiny timing slip, and you get hit with fees. And the more fees you get hit with, the harder it is to save. And please, if you are stuck in that loop, do not rush to the conclusion that you are just bad with money. You are getting charged extra simply because you do not have a buffer. That is all. A small thing you can do within the next 24 hours. Open your banking app, filter the last 30 days, and write down the total of every fee you paid, like overdraft fees, late fees, and convenience fees. Circle the biggest one. What about you? Which fee makes you the most furious? Overdraft fees, late fees, or having to buy single items because you cannot afford to buy in bulk? In that moment, I realized something. What I was missing was not just $4.86. I was missing something more important, the right to breathe. Because when you are living paycheck to paycheck, every decision forces you into the short-term option that just gets you through the day, and then you get charged extra for that exact shortage. I call it the being broke tax, this invisible fee that people with extra money barely ever have to pay. In this video, I am going to peel back the layers and show you exactly where that tax is hiding, from little everyday purchases, to banks, to cars, to housing, and all the way to the most expensive one of all, your time and your mental bandwidth. And most importantly, I am going to show you how to build a small buffer so you can break this loop. Now let me prove to you how the being broke tax works at the most everyday level. Buying basic daily stuff. It sounds small, but it keeps bleeding you little by little, like a slow leak, and you do not really feel it until the end of the month when you suddenly wonder where your money went. First example, toilet paper. If your household can drop $40 at once, you go to Costco or any big box store, grab the bulk pack, and it works out to about 50 cents per roll. But if you have exactly $4 left in your wallet, you stop by a convenience store and buy a small pack. And now, it is more like $1.50 per roll. Same roll of toilet paper. Only one difference. You cannot afford to park $40 in extra supplies at home. And yeah, it is infuriating. And it does not stop with toilet paper. Diapers for Liam are the one that hurt my wallet the most. A big box of diapers is usually cheaper per diaper, around 25 to 30 cents each. But there were weeks I had to buy a small pack because money was tight, and it jumped to about 40 to 50 cents each. That sounds like just a few pennies, but for a baby who goes through them all day, by the end of the month, it turns into real money. What surprised me is I used to blame myself, like, why did I not just buy the big box and save? When the answer was painfully simple. Because I did not have $40. At this point, a lot of people will say, well then try harder, cut back. Okay, but the system is more sneaky than that. From what I understand, retail has something called economies of scale. Smaller packages often have higher packaging, shipping, and shelf costs per unit, so stores raise the price to make up for it. People who know the game look at the unit price, not just the number on the tag. Watch this. The same laundry detergent, the small bottle for $6 feels easier than the big bottle for $18. But per load, the small one can be 30 to 60% more expensive. Then there is the rush fee. One time, Emily needed to send $20 fast to pay a bill before it was due, and I used an instant transfer and got hit with a $3.99 fee. Sounds small, right? But if that happens 2 or 3 times a month, you are paying an extra $8 to $12 every month just to get your money right now, because you do not have a cushion sitting there already. And what is wild is they give that fee a pretty name, convenience. But really, it is the fee for being backed into a corner. And do not even get me started on food. When you have only $10 left for dinner, it is so easy to choose a fast food combo for $9.99 because it is quick, and you do not have to buy ingredients. But if you can spend $35 to $45 for the week, you can buy rice, meat, and vegetables, and cook 3 or 4 meals. The problem is not that you are too lazy to cook. It is that you are buying one meal at a time because your cash flow will not let you buy a whole week at a time. Let me be blunt. This is not some moral story about who works harder. This is cash flow math. When you do not have a buffer, you get locked out of bulk prices, pulled into retail prices, and every time your timing is even slightly off, another thin layer of fees gets added on top. Each cost looks small by itself, but together, it is exactly why you keep working and still feel like your money never sticks around. And if you think buying smaller costs more is already bad, let me be real with you. That is only the part you can see. The next layer is scarier because it is built-in penalty fees, like designed on purpose. Let us start with banks. One time I had exactly $22 in my account, and a subscription I forgot to cancel hit for $25. I was only $3 short, and the next morning I saw this cold, emotionless line. Overdraft fee, $35. Oh my gosh, I remember that feeling like I got slapped. Like, I am short $3 and you are charging me $35. From what I understand, a lot of banks have fee structures that are basically one slip and you get the whole hammer, not a percentage. People in the industry call it fee-based revenue, meaning they do not need you to get richer. They just need you to be off by a beat. What shocked me is when you have money, the system suddenly gets so gentle. If your account already has a few $1,000s sitting in it, you get maintenance fees waived for all kinds of things. But when you are at the bottom, you have to pay fees just to exist. It feels like there are 2 parallel worlds. One world that gets rewarded for being stable, and another world that gets charged for not being stable. Then there is credit. This is the part I misunderstood for a long time. I used to think high interest rates happened because I was just bad with money. But later, I realized what is really happening. They label you as risk, and then they sell you something with a very polite name, a risk premium. For example, two people buy something that costs $5,000. The person with great credit borrows at 10% annual percentage rate. The person with bad credit borrows at 25% annual percentage rate. That 15% gap sounds like a theory, but over 1 year, it is $750 just for the privilege of buying something you need. And you know the most brutal part of the loop? You get charged because you are risk. But that very charge makes it harder to pay on time, which makes you look even riskier. Let me make it even more real with cars. In the United States, unless you live in a few major cities, you basically need a car to get to work. Back then, Theo worked early shifts, and one time our old car threw an error. I knew if I fixed it early, it would probably be around $300. But I looked at my bank account, and I was not even at the level where I could breathe. So I shut my eyes and kept driving it. 2 months later, the car died in the middle of the road. The tow cost $200. Then the mechanic said the timing belt was damaged, and the repair jumped to $2,000. On top of that, Theo missed 2 shifts, which was another roughly $300 in lost pay. Total damage, $2,500, just because I did not have $300 at the beginning. It is maddening. And here is a secret that car dealers and lenders understand perfectly. They are not selling the car, they are selling the monthly payment. People in the industry even call it sell the payment. You hear? Only $299 a month. And you think, okay, that is manageable. But the reality is, the annual percentage rate could be 20 to 24%, plus some trash warranty, paperwork fees, and fees on top of fees. And by the end, you pay $12,000 to $15,000 for a car that should have been worth maybe $5,000 to $6,000. And if the car breaks down halfway through, you are still making payments on a hunk of metal. When it comes to housing, the being broke tax hits the final level. Renting is not just throwing money away. It is paying extra fees just to be allowed to rent. A security deposit of $1,000 to $2,000. An application fee of $50 to $150. Sometimes even a holding fee. Then you have to prove income that is 3 times the rent. If you cannot, you need a co-signer, or you have to pay several months up front. Please hear me on this. It is not that you are not working hard enough. The gate is literally locked with cash. Meanwhile, buying a home can require a down payment like $10,000 to $20,000 depending on where you live. And if your down payment is low, you might also get hit with private mortgage insurance every month. From what I understand, private mortgage insurance is basically insurance that protects the lender, not you. You pay money to prove, I am poor, so I am risky. It sounds absurd, but it is real. And the most expensive part, the one nobody puts on a bill, is time. Emily once had to carry Liam to a laundromat because our washing machine broke and we did not have enough money to fix it yet. One load of laundry might look like $6 to $10, but when you add up the travel and the waiting, it eats 2 hours. Those 2 hours could have been Theo picking up another shift, Emily actually resting, Liam going to bed early. But no, those 2 hours turn into an invisible cost. When you are broke, everything takes more time. And time is the thing that keeps you stuck at the exact level of life you are trying to escape. So if you have made it this far and you feel that heaviness in your chest, I get it. I have stood at that checkout. I have stared at that $35 fee. I have blamed myself. But the closer I looked, the clearer it became. This is a machine. And that machine makes money off the fact that you do not have a buffer. And this is the part I really want you to listen to, because it completely changes how you see yourself. Every time I hear someone say, being broke is just a lack of discipline, I honestly want to sigh. Because if it were only discipline, then why were there months where Theo and I worked all our hours? Emily was running around non-stop taking care of Liam, and yet one bill being off by $30 was enough to throw the whole week into survival mode? What surprised me is this. When you are living paycheck to paycheck, you are not just short on money. You are short on mental space to think long-term. From what I understand, in behavioral psychology, there is this concept called scarcity, and it reduces your cognitive bandwidth. There are studies, and even serious books. I read one called Scarcity by Melanathan and Shafir, that say when people are under financial pressure, their ability to process information and make decisions can drop by about the equivalent of a night of lost sleep. Just picture it. You are driving with your eyes barely open, your brain feels thick and foggy. Are you going to sit there and build a 5-year plan? No. You are just trying to get through today. And the system knows that. I will be honest with you. There was a stretch where I paid a $25 late fee just because I was scared to open my email. Sounds ridiculous, right? But at that time, my inbox felt like a black hole. If I opened it, I would watch money disappear. Emily would ask, "Did you check yet?" And I would snap. Thea would say, "We will deal with it this weekend." Liam was crying because he was hungry, because he was tired, because he was a little kid. And my brain automatically chose the easiest option. Avoid it. Not because I was lazy, because I was drained. And here is the brutal part. Penalty fees do not just take your money. They take your calm. You get hit with a $35 overdraft fee. You panic. You use an instant transfer and pay another $3.99. You start cutting corners by buying cheaper stuff that costs more per unit. And then you are even more likely to fall out of rhythm again. This is that fee to stress loop people talk about in personal finance, basically getting charged fees because you are already stressed. It is maddening. And please do not jump to the conclusion, I am bad with money. You are playing a game where the unwritten rule is, if you have a buffer, you get the cheaper options, and if you do not, you get charged extra. When you do not have that cushion, you are making decisions in emergency mode. Outsiders look at it and see bad choices, but the person living it knows the truth. It was the least painful option in that moment. So what is the empowering part here? Once you can see the mechanism, you stop beating yourself up. You start going after the fees. You do not have to turn into some extreme super saver overnight. You just need to get back a little cognitive bandwidth, a little room to choose. And that is when things can start to turn around. Here is the most practical part. The way out is not investing in the stock market or getting rich fast. The way out, first, is to stop the bleeding. Because when you are bleeding, you do not need vitamins. You need to wrap the wound first. From what I understand, if you have credit card debt charging around a 20% annual percentage rate, then paying that debt down is basically like earning a guaranteed 20% return. No stock on the planet can promise you that with a straight face. By the same logic, when you buy something that costs more but lasts longer, you are buying back your future. For example, instead of a $10 toaster that burns out after a few months, you buy a $40 to $50 one that lasts for years. It sounds small, but it cuts off that endless replacement cycle. People in the industry call this total cost of ownership, meaning the full cost over time, not just the sticker price. Sellers love it when you only look at how much per month, because it hides the true total. But the strongest weapon, honestly, is a buffer, an emergency cash cushion. It is not sexy, but it changes the whole game. The moment you have $500 to $1,000 in your account, a flat tire is no longer a disaster. It is just annoying. And when it is only annoying, you are not forced into payday loans, you are not forced into rush fees, and you are not forced into overpriced one-off purchases. I used to think saving $1,000 was something only people with money could do. Then I realized, $1,000 is not there to make you feel rich. It is there so random problems cannot hold you hostage. It lets you raise your insurance deductible a little to lower your monthly premium. It lets you fix a small leak before it turns into tearing up the floor. It lets you buy the bigger pack instead of the tiny one. In other words, once you have a cushion, you start getting the regular person price, not the I am stuck and desperate price. And here is a hard truth. A lot of companies make money because you do not have a buffer. They forecast revenue from late fees, overdraft fees, expedited payment fees, and that constant buy it again and again replacement habit. When you start making decisions based on total cost of ownership, you become a tougher customer for them, but you become an excellent chief financial officer for your own household. So the goal of this section is not to turn you into a perfect person. The goal is to pick the right move, hit the right spot, and make sure the being broke tax does not get to bite you every single month anymore. Now I want to wrap this up with a simple 3-step plan you can start right away. No fluff. Because I know that feeling. You listen to something like this, you get fired up, and then tomorrow, life drags you right back under. I want you to have something you can hold on to. Step 1. Today, 30 minutes. Audit your being broke tax. Open your banking app and your card app, filter the last 30 days, and write down every fee you see. Overdraft fees, late fees, instant transfer fees, and all those convenience fees. Just add up the total. You are going to be shocked. Step 2. Tomorrow. Pick one biggest leak and plug that first. Which one is draining you the most? That $35 overdraft fee, the $25 late fee, or credit card interest? Circle 1. Do not try to fix everything at once. People in the field call this, attack the biggest leak first. Step 3. Over the next 7 to 14 days, build a mini buffer. Your first goal is just $200, then work up to $500. Sell stuff you do not use, pick up one extra shift, take a weekend gig, but remember, that money is not a treat. It is buying back your right to feel stable. If this video helped you realize you have been paying a being broke tax and you thought it was just you being bad with money, share it with one person who is stuck in the same place. And hit like and subscribe so I can keep breaking down these hidden systems. Question for you. Which fee makes you the most angry? Overdraft fees, late fees, or having to buy single items because you cannot afford to buy in bulk?